Introduction. The story of Esther is one of bravery, faith, and divine providence. Set during the Persian Empire, it follows a young Jewish woman named Esther who rises from obscurity to become queen. When a plot arises to destroy the Jewish people, Esther risks her life by courageously approaching King Xerxes without being summoned, an act punishable by death. Through wisdom and courage, she exposes the enemy's schemes and saves her people. Esther's story is a powerful example of how God can use ordinary individuals for extraordinary purposes, demonstrating that faith and boldness can change the course of history. Esther becomes queen. After Queen Vashti is banished for refusing King Xerxes' command, a search is held to find her replacement. Esther, a young Jewish woman raised by her cousin Mordecai, is chosen for her beauty and grace. She keeps her Jewish identity hidden as instructed. This moment marks the beginning of her divinely orchestrated path. Though she is in a foreign palace, her presence is part of God's greater plan. Esther's rise to queenship is not by chance. It sets the stage for a divine rescue mission, proving that God places his people strategically for a purpose, even when they don't yet see it. Mordecai discovers a plot. While serving at the king's gate, Mordecai overhears a plot by two palace guards to assassinate King Xerxes. He quickly reports it to Esther, who warns the king in Mordecai's name. The plot is stopped, and Mordecai's good deed is recorded in the royal chronicles, though no reward is given at the time. This seemingly small event plays a crucial role later in the story. It's a reminder that even unnoticed acts of righteousness have value and may be used by God in time. Mordecai's loyalty sets him apart and reveals how God honors faithfulness, even if the reward comes later. Haman's rise to power. Haman, a high-ranking official, is promoted above all other nobles in the kingdom. He demands that everyone bow before him, but Mordecai refuses because of his faith. Haman becomes enraged and, upon learning Mordecai is Jewish, devises a plan to annihilate all Jews in the empire. He manipulates King Xerxes into issuing a decree to destroy them. Haman's pride and hatred set a deadly plan in motion. This highlights the destructive power of unchecked pride and prejudice, and it underscores how evil can thrive when leaders misuse their authority. Yet, even in the darkest plans, God's justice is not far off. Esther learns of the decree. When Mordecai hears of Haman's decree, he mourns in sackcloth and ashes, prompting Esther's concern. She learns of the decree through her messengers and Mordecai's urging. He tells her she must speak to the king, even though approaching him without a summons could mean death. Esther is at a crossroads: risk her life or remain silent. Mordecai's famous words, "Perhaps you have come to your royal position for such a time as this," challenge her. This moment marks Esther's transformation from a quiet queen to a brave intercessor, showing that courage often involves sacrifice and faith in a higher calling. Esther's brave decision faced with the threat to her people, Esther chooses to act. She calls for a 3-day fast among all Jews in Susa before she risks approaching the king. She prepares herself spiritually, showing dependence on God before making a life-threatening move. On the 3rd day, dressed in royal robes, she goes to the king's court. This decision is a pivotal act of bravery and faith. Esther's willingness to lay down her life for her people mirrors the ultimate selflessness of true leadership. Her example teaches us to seek God first and stand boldly, even when the outcome is uncertain. Esther approaches the king. Esther approaches King Xerxes, who extends his golden scepter, sparing her life. She invites him and Haman to a private banquet, showing wisdom and restraint. At the banquet, She doesn't immediately reveal Haman's plot, but instead invites them to another banquet the next day. This delay is strategic, giving time for God to unfold his plan. Esther's poise and patience show the importance of timing and discernment in critical moments. Rather than reacting in fear, she acts with wisdom. Her approach reminds us that courage doesn't always mean charging ahead. It can mean waiting for the right moment to act. The king remembers Mordecai. That night, the king cannot sleep and asks for the royal records to be read. He discovers that Mordecai had once saved his life, but had never been rewarded. In a divine twist, the king asks Haman how to honor someone special. Haman, thinking it's himself, describes a grand celebration. To his shock, the king commands him to honor Mordecai publicly. This moment reveals God's unseen hand at work. Mordecai, once overlooked, is now elevated. Justice begins to turn. This scene teaches that God's timing is perfect, and those who serve faithfully will ultimately be honored, even if the reward seems delayed. Esther exposes Haman. At the second banquet, Esther finally reveals her request to save her people from destruction. She exposes Haman as the enemy behind the plot. King Xerxes is furious and storms out. When he returns and sees Haman begging Esther for mercy, he misunderstands and orders Haman's execution. The gallows Haman had prepared for Mordecai are used on him instead. This dramatic reversal showcases divine justice and the downfall of the wicked. Esther's courage and wisdom save her people and bring truth to light. It's a reminder that evil schemes cannot stand against God's plans and that truth eventually prevails. A new decree is issued. Though the original decree to destroy the Jews cannot be revoked, the king allows Esther and Mordecai to issue a new decree. This decree permits the Jews to defend themselves against any attackers. It spreads throughout the kingdom, giving the Jews hope and preparation time. The fear of the Jews grows, and many come to support them. This new decree marks a turning point where despair gives way to hope. It shows that while some events may be irreversible, God provides ways to overcome and triumph.